This article identifies 6 challenges in the evaluation of mobile learning, proposes a 3-level framework for evaluating mobile learning, and discusses how the framework meets these challenges. The authors identify 6 challenges in evaluating mobile learning. 1. Capturing and analyzing learning in context and across contexts. 2. Measuring mobile learning processes and outcomes. 3. Respecting learner-participant privacy. 4. Technology utility and usability. 5. Considering the wider organizational and socio-cultural contexts of learning. 6. Assessing informality and formality. Challenge 1. Capturing learning contexts and learning across contexts. In traditional educational research in a classroom setting, the researcher needs to know the context: where, who, with whom, from whom, why, what, and how. Researchers can approach the teachers and learners in advance to determine these factors. With M-learning, even the learners may not know this information in advance. Learning objectives may develop on the fly as a response to interactions with the environment. Challenge 2. Has anyone learned anything? In a traditional setting, there are well-established and accepted methods of assessment. With M-learning, the learning may be personally initiated and structured so that it may not be possible to determine in advance where the learning may occur, how it processed, or the outcomes that are produced. Assessing learning across multiple settings can be established by reviewing and evaluating log files of computer activity, web activity, outcomes from online quizzes, the media created by the learner, and personal reflective documents. Challenge 3. An ethical question. M-learning can involve personal technology. It is not appropriate to tap into a person's mobile phone to find out how they've been using it to learn. The willingness of learners to expose their private lives is a particular concern. Understanding the vagueness of M-learning contexts, how can subjects consent to disclosing information about situations when they do not know when, where, and under what circumstances they will take place? Challenge 4. Let's not forget the technology. Evaluations of mobile learning reference inherent limitations of mobile devices: small screens, battery life, connectivity. However, with a shift in focus from the technology to the mobility of the learner, additional issues arise, such as learners moving across multiple devices in a short period of time. Challenge 5. Seeing the big picture. There are 3 types of impact studies: anticipatory, ongoing, and achieved. Research into M-learning needs to focus on the immediate learner experience, anticipatory, the process of integrating emerging with existing practices, ongoing, and the implications of full deployment, achieved. This requires an extended view to include the learner's personal context, but also the changing contexts of M-learning. Challenge 6. Formal or informal. M-learning is often defined by the use of technology. If the technology is mobile, so is the learning. Mobility is not exclusive to the technology, but to the learner, who moves from one context to another, thereby changing locations, social groups, and technologies. Learning often takes place in the short gaps between these transitions. Traditionally, formal learning takes place in educational settings, but M-learning allows for those structures to move with the learner. Requirements for mobile learning evaluation. M-learning evaluation needs to capture and analyze learning in context with consideration of learner privacy, assess the usability of the technology and how it affects the learning experience, look beyond measurable cognitive gains into changes in the learning process and practice, consider organizational issues in the adoption of mobile learning practice and its integration with existing practices, and understand how this integration affects attributes of informality. Span the life cycle of the mobile learning innovation that is evaluated, from conception to full deployment and beyond. A three-level framework for evaluating mobile learning: micro, meso, and macro. The micro level examines specific activities by users and assesses the utility of the technologies. The meso level examines the learning experience as a whole and attempts to identify learning breakthroughs and breakdowns while investigating how the learning experience integrates with other related experiences. The macro level examines the long-term impact of the new technology on established practice. A three-level framework. The evaluation process across all three levels may be gradual, starting with evaluation at the micro levels as the project gets started. With continued exploration of the technologies involved, research can be added at the meso level once the technology is in place and robust enough for study. And finally, once the technology is in place long enough to establish its effectiveness, evaluations may take place at the macro level. The evaluation framework works by exploring what is supposed to happen at any specific level, what actually happened, and finally, providing an examination of the gaps between expectations and reality. This three-level framework provides a structured format that allows researchers to explore this emerging field while remaining responsive to the 6 identified challenges. Using the framework to address the 6 challenges. The framework allows for understanding of learning contexts at different levels, relates the intended learning processes to observed activities, involves learners and teachers as active, informed participants, puts equal emphasis on the learner and the technology, permits an analysis of individual interaction, educational process, and organizational change, can be applied to formal or informal settings.